That's right. And those students that do act out, you have to remember that there's a reason for that. And it's not purposely to make your life miserable as the teacher. There's something going on with them. And sometimes those behaviors are things that they cannot control. And so you really need to get to the bottom of it. Why is that behavior occurring? How can I help that child? And also, be understanding.
So you're listening to Melanie Redden from Snips, Nails, and Teacher Tales, a second grade teacher from Florida who is sharing her truth about building rapport with kids, and she is just incredible. You're going to get some great ideas on how to do just that, build rapport with kids, and also hear a powerful approach to behavior management and how to celebrate each other. You're not going to want to miss it. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of One Tired Teacher. I'm Trina Debery. I'm super excited to be sharing a tired that inspires us all, because building rapport with kids is the best part of teaching. I'm thankful you are here, and we are talking with Melanie Redden about the power of building connections with kids. I've known Melanie for a very long time, at least 15 years, and we had the chance to teach together, and we have had the opportunity to continue to be friends for years past the time that I have not been teaching, and she is like the family I choose. So Melanie, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Trina.
Well, I'm so glad to have you, because you are definitely a person that we want to hear from, because you have lots of really great ideas and information for teachers, and I know that you are going to be able to share that with us, and I'm excited.
Well, we are definitely wide awake this morning, and we are talking about things that are very relevant to teachers in the classroom and ways to help them to be successful with their students and with their teams.
Absolutely, because it's so important to have that relationship with kids, and even within your own team. It makes your job 100 times easier.
That's right.
And and when you work together collaboratively, just like we tell the kids, like you could, the synergy that occurs between teachers and even between kids makes such a huge difference in the learning experience.
That's right.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Okay. Well, I have been teaching second grade for 13 years, and I did teach first grade for 1 year. That was my very first year of teaching.
Long ago.
Yeah.
And I was there to witness.
That's right.
Because that's when I knew in that very moment that this was like, you were born to do this. Like,
thank you.
You were a natural automatically from the get-go. And you had a really good class that year, too.
I had a great class, and that made it a lot easier, especially your first year teaching.
Absolutely. I think everybody should get that gift.
Absolutely.
Like, what a difference that would make, don't you think? Like,
yes.
I mean, as far as, like, to know that you're going in there and it's going to be, like, limited issues right off the bat would be really helpful.
Because you can really focus on the teaching and not so much behavior issues when you are a first year teacher, just trying to figure out your way. Definitely. And that was very helpful.
Yeah, that's good. All right, so that's 14 years of teaching. That's a long time. So
it went fast.
Yeah. So you have some important things and lots of experience. All right, so tell me, let's talk a little bit about building rapport with kids.
I started, and I got this idea somewhere on maybe Facebook or YouTube, like a teacher Facebook group, doing a secret handshake with your students every morning when they walk in. And they came up with their secret handshake on their own, and they taught me the secret handshake, so I literally have 18 different ones to remember every morning. And sometimes they try to switch it up on me, which throws me off. And I told them they're not allowed to do that because I just learned all 18.
18?
So
everybody picks their own
secret handshake, and that's how I greet them in the morning.
Oh,
and
I love that.
It is such a great way to connect, and we're excited to see each other, and they come right in knowing that we've made such a good connection. You know, I saw them that morning, and we're ready to go. So it has worked out very well. It's something I'm going to continue forever.
I love that. That and I know from speaking to one of your students, who is the sister of my goddaughter, that you are, like, she says you are the best. Like, you are absolutely the best teacher. Like, she's like,
sweet.
What did she just recently say? Something about how she is, like, in love with you, and how it's been different in other different situations, but that you are like the teacher, like the person. It's so adorable. So adorable.
That makes my day.
So you work on the handshake, and then what are some other things?
I think it's important that we remember that they're kids first. Before data, before anything else, they're kids first, and they come every day with different experiences and different backgrounds, and they need to know that they're loved and they're safe in your classroom, and that they're heard and seen, no matter what. And I think that is a really big first step in building rapport with students.
Mm-hmm. I love that, especially the part where you're talking about that they come with different experiences. Because sometimes I feel like, I know for me that there's been moments in teaching where I forgot that, and I'm like so focused on my own life experiences and what's happening in my own house or whatever, and my own background, that I'm forgetting that they too are coming in the door with whatever just happened in their life, whether it be something wonderful or whether it be something really difficult. So I think that's very helpful to build relationships with kids.
Absolutely. And I think also that we have to remember some students don't always come to you with a great school experience. Mm-hmm. And so you need to change that and find things that are unique and special about each child, especially those that are having a hard time in school, and just really foster what is unique and special about them and make them feel good about themselves. But you can't forget about the kid, the good kids as well.
You're right. It's such a balancing act, because you feel like you put so much attention in ones that are having a hard time, are struggling, that those quieter, like, people that follow every rule and do everything they're supposed to sometimes get forgotten.
That's right. And you can't forget them either.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And especially, like, I think that's so powerful to talk about, like, some kids not coming to school and having good school experiences.
That's right.
Because they're already defensive the moment they walk in the door in our classroom, especially in the beginning of the year, when they feel like here we go again, this is going to be another experience that I hate, and I'm going to be dumb, and I'm not going to get it, and she's not going to like me, and all these things that they come in the door with that we're not always thinking about.
That's right. And those students that do act out, you have to remember that there's a reason for that. And it's not purposely to make your life miserable as a teacher. There's something going on with them, and sometimes those behaviors are things that they cannot control. And so you really need to get to the bottom of it. Why is that behavior occurring? How can I help that child? And also, be understanding.
Mm-hmm. I think the why they're behaving that way is such a key. Mm-hmm. I know when I was in a different role for a little while, where I was doing some, like, administrative type of work, and I was dealing with, like, constant behavior problems, I think I frustrated some teachers with the way that I was handling specific kids, by when they were like, why aren't they in trouble, or why are you in there playing with them, or why are you, why are they being pulled out and being rewarded? And I'm like, it was such an eye-opener for me to be in that role for that amount of time, to see what it was really like, because it wasn't rewarding them. I wasn't rewarding them. I was building a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. They were already so completely defensive and broken, and nobody really has time in the day to figure that out. And so, like, that was my job. So that's what I was trying to do, was figure it out. And I mean, I feel like it made a difference to those kids, but I definitely know that from the teacher's perspective, it probably seemed like I wasn't supporting them, which I would I feel badly about that, because I would never want a teacher to feel like they weren't supported. But it is like, it's a totally different perspective. Right. And sometimes we don't understand different perspectives that we're not in. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something to keep in mind at times. So I love that you said that we just have to figure out the why. We have to understand, and sometimes we do and sometimes we don't.
Right. And when they feel loved and safe, I think they're more open to different behavior plans that you might come up with to help them.
Yes. No, I totally agree. And, like, what do you mean by, like, some different behavior plans?
So it is kind of like, this is their behavior chart, their calendar that's in their homework folder. This one, I'm taking risks in my learning and not giving up. I am a good citizen of the classroom.
Oh,
and a lot of this is celebrating mistakes and celebrating brave learning.
I love that.
I am ready to learn. Today is a great day to make mistakes and overcome challenges. Or yellow, I need to adjust to the challenge I have and get back on track. I am missing out on some learning that I need to complete. Red, I am having a struggle and will need to make a plan with an adult to help me. So they actually not moving clips up and down. They are reflecting on their own behavior, and they're kind of rating themselves.
I think that's so cool.
And so we celebrate mistakes. We celebrate taking risks and being brave learners. And they actually rate themselves and reflect twice a day. They reflect in the morning before we go to lunch. And if they were having a hard time that morning, when we come back after lunch and recess, they can start all over again. And, you know, I had some trouble in the morning. Now I can make better choices, or I can, you know, overcome these challenges that I'm having, whether it's academics or behavior, and work through it in a positive way. And then we also have the calming corner. And if they're having trouble, if they're getting frustrated, it's okay to take a break and just kind of go off to a comfortable area in the classroom, and they reflect on how they're feeling, why they're feeling that way. They have different tools there to help them, different strategies to help them calm down. I have stuffed animals if they just want to hug a stuffed animal. If they want to just go take a little walk in the classroom, in the back, so they're not distracting other learners. If they want to just go get a drink. If they want to go into the bathroom and splash some water on their face. If they want to use one of those squishy squeeze balls to relieve stress. There's so many different options. I also have 2 books over in the calming corner. One is Scaredy Squirrel, and it's about being a brave learner, and it's okay to take risks and make mistakes, because you never know. You could be a flying squirrel.
That's right.
And never know it if you're too afraid to just jump. And the other one is,
that's adorable.
I forgot what the
That's
other
so
one is.
adorable.
So
Do they utilize this?
they do. They do. And they just kind of give me a hand signal. To tell me that they need to go over there, and that's okay. I don't have to stop instruction. I just kind of nod to them, and then they can go off and gather themselves together and just calm down and reflect. And there's also a sheet in a folder, and it's kind of like it shows them all the different emotions that they might be feeling, and they talk about what happened, why they're feeling the way they're feeling, what they can do differently. Especially if it's a behavior issue going on.
Yeah.
And so it's okay, and you know, they're able to get over it quickly and come right back to class and rejoin the class and get back to learning.
I totally love that. Not to mention it's very self-regulating.
Yes.
And also like that whole metacognitive thing is going on. They're aware of their own like feelings and thoughts about it and how to handle it.
Right.
I think that's so great. Do you feel like you have any behavior problems?
You know, it's funny. I thought it would get used more than it does.
Okay.
It doesn't get used. The calming corner, it's not used often. There's not a lot of times when the children do need to go over there. Because I feel like the atmosphere in the classroom, we are all celebrating mistakes, and we're all celebrating struggles, and we're all celebrating successes and challenges. And so they're so helpful with each other and supportive that I feel they don't use it as often as as I had planned or anticipated.
Because you've built a community.
Right.
And like I think it takes what you talked about earlier, like really knowing them and hearing them and knowing why they behave the way they do, and like and celebrating the mistakes.
Right.
And I witnessed that in your class when you graciously let me come in and visit and teach for a little while. And I told you it was like an hour of teaching, and I was so tired. I came home that night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I forgot how hard this is. And and I mean, I was really tired that day. But But anyway, the way that they were talking about, like, you know, we through mistakes we learn. Like, we learn more through mistakes, and we figure it out through failures. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I mean, but it didn't just sound like regurgitated from you. It sounded like they actually truly understood it and
they
meant
own it.
and they owned it, and that they were like, it's okay. I didn't see one single student getting frustrated with like the activity. They all were like, I'm going to just keep trying it. And they were all different. That was the other thing that was really cool to see. Yeah. That everybody was different and they were celebrating each other's differences. Right. And I just think that is really special. Okay, so the calming corner sounds like we have Melanie and I used to platoon years ago where we taught together, and I taught reading and science and she taught math, social studies, and writing. And so we had the same class, and they would come to me, and then they'd go to her, or and vice versa. We had a student, I don't know if you remember him. It's kind of like McNugget, but do you know who I'm talking about? Okay, so I don't want to say his name, but like, I think a calming corner, I mean, we loved him. I think a calming corner would have been like a huge thing for him. Like, I think that would
absolutely.
And I also think the key for him was that if he was in a situation where he had been in a situation in previous years where he was on a clip system, and if he went down and like he was done, like that's he was right. Totally meltdown and that was it. He had to know that there was a way for him to like pick himself back up and move on.
That's right.
And that he would be like, that would be okay, and that he would be almost rewarded by that, because if not, he was lost. So I think that was one of the things that together I feel like that was a good thing for him.
Yes.
And I think of him because like what a difference that we saw in that child.
Yep.
So I don't know, but I think a calming corner would have been something that would have been even more powerful for him.
Absolutely.
So, and McNugget. Yeah, so that's not really his name.
I also have in my classroom something that I call a celebration station. So when a student is really working so hard and just shining bright, we reward that in our classroom, and they meet me over in the celebration station, and they get a celebration bracelet that might say, I was a great listener today, or I showed that I am respectful, or I showed that I'm a leader, or I had a great day.
That's awesome.
Or I was a hallway hero, walking in the hallway, nicely without throwing our bodies all over the walls.
Yes. Oh, and like dragging your fingers along the side on people's work.
Yes, exactly.
It drives me crazy.
Exactly. So I have these bracelets for every little thing, and they work so hard to earn those. And they cheer for each other. They do a little class cheer whenever someone gets a celebration bracelet, and it's a big deal. Yeah. And they wear it proudly, even the boys.
That's so cool. What are the bracelets? Are they like made out of paper?
Yep.
Or they...
I just run them through the copy machine, and it's so easy. You can do it on construction paper. That became a little bit more difficult. So you know how supplies are at a
minimum.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just regular paper. Colored, but there's different bracelets. I'm trying to think what some of the other
love
ones
that
are.
though.
Yes.
Because they remember those cones of success.
Yes.
That they used to have at the dollar store.
Right.
I
still have those
in the media center when I was teaching the media center in a Title I school with the kids, and they loved those cones. I mean, I'd walk around just randomly and stick like I'm a superstar, I'm awesome, or whatever on their desk. I mean, when they were showing something that was positive and exciting, and they wanted those cones.
Yes,
they totally wanted those cones.
It's a big deal.
But that school was a PBI. What is that?
PBIS.
PBIS school, and but I like. What are your thoughts about that?
I just learned what it is on Thursday, actually. We just started talking about it, and I think PBS has those tokens or those incentives. PBIS means it's interventions.
Okay.
And so it's different options to put students who need it on basically a tier 2 or a tier 3 with interventions for behavior.
Okay. Because I know it felt like it wasn't being done properly, in my opinion, because all it was incentives constantly.
Right.
There was never any interventions,
Right.
and there was never really any consequences. What are your... It was all just rewards constantly, and it was tokens, and the kids... there was no intrinsic
Right.
motivation at all. It was all extrinsic, and that was it. And so I had a hard... for me, that experience made me feel kind of negative about it. I don't think that's... I've spoken to people, specifically, someone at our
Right.
school, and was telling me such good things about it, and I'm like, why am I not understanding this? I don't think I have a proper understanding, but I think it was just because I don't think it was done correctly.
Right.
So what are your thoughts about, what about consequences? Is that something that you believe in? How do you handle that? I mean, you haven't had to this year. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great. But I mean,
Yeah. Well, I think consequences have to be a natural consequence for the behavior. And the students need to take ownership of what is going on and their choices. One thing that has helped for me in the classroom is having them write to their, write a note to mom and dad or whoever's at home about what happened. Because I feel like when they write about it, it's not like the teacher's tattling on them.
yes, they're telling about it themselves.
They're telling about it themselves, and they're taking ownership. And I think that has been helpful.
What about, do you still have
major behaviors? Ooh.
Do you have, still do that where they stand in each other's shoes?
Yes.
I totally love that. Okay, so I'm going to link to that in the show notes because and that is available at Snip, Snails, and Teacher Tales, which I'll share a link, because this stepping into each other's shoes system is so, I love that. That was a huge help in my classroom.
One of my classroom jobs is a friend maker. So when two students are having a conflict, and we go through a whole unit on what is a conflict, how is a conflict different from bullying, and so once they have an understanding of that, we talk about all the different ways we can solve our conflicts. And so the friend maker, whenever there's two students having a conflict, this friend maker brings them over to the conflict resolution area in the classroom, and on the walls are all different ways that the students can solve a conflict. So what they do is they step into each other's shoes. I have footprints on the floor, and so the two students that are having the conflict have to face each other. The friend maker kind of stands between them off to the side and prompts the students one at a time to say, the problem is that, and then one of the students in the conflict will explain to the other what their problem is, and all the while the two students in the conflict, they have to look each other in the eyes and stand up straight, and they have to, and we also talk about what active listening is. It's not listening with the intent to respond. It's listening with the intent to listen with your heart. And so they have to be really hearing each other out. So the friend maker prompts one child to say, the problem is that, and they explain to their friend what their problem is. That made me feel. So then they talk about how what happened is how it's making them feel. Next time I want you to. And then they explain, next time I would like you to do this instead of this. And then the friend maker prompts the other child in the conflict to do the same thing. So once they get out, once they're both heard, then they work together, the three of them. The friend maker helps them choose a resolution or a solution to help them resolve their conflict.
And they have resolutions available to choose from.
Absolutely.
I love that. And then, they I don't know what I was going to say, but they I just think I think that's I know what I was going to say. I think that's powerful even for adults.
Yes.
I think especially I would like you to do. I would have liked you to have done this.
Yes.
So.
Next time I would like you to. And then once they have come up with their solution, they have to do it, and then they shake hands. And it's funny because instead of kids running up and tattletelling,
oh, yes.
they say, Mrs. Redden, we need the friend maker. And so they just take ownership of it, and the friend maker takes their job very seriously.
I was going to say, is that
It's
new?
a big
because I
deal.
don't remember having the friend maker before. Like, I remember they would say, we need to step in each other's shoes,
Yeah.
but I don't remember, like, the friend maker. That I like that addition, actually,
yes.
because it's kind of like having a mediator.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so it takes me out of the equation unless they really need me, and that's also one of the solutions is to ask an adult for help. But that has rarely happened. They tell me, we need a friend maker. We're going to go step in each other's shoes. And I say, great, go right ahead. And they solve it on their own and they talk it out. And it really is the sweetest thing to watch them solve this conflict and just work it out themselves. And then they shake hands. And that's it. And then they
it's resolved.
Skip off as friends again. Yeah, and it's very powerful.
I love that. That was one of my favorite things. I do remember thinking, like, you're right. Watching them, like, it almost made me want to cry a couple times because they were so, and when it ended in a hug, rather than I'm like, oh, they love each other again. It's okay. Yeah.
And all is back to normal.
I love that. Okay, so I think we've talked about like so many good strategies and like even dealing with behavior. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So piggybacking off of, I don't know if it's not a clip chart. What would I call it? I don't know. It is the colors. You know what I mean? It is similar to a clip chart, but they're not clipping anything. They're reflecting.
No, so why not
really
call it? Why not a reflection? I mean, just call it a reflection.
Okay.
Or reflecting on my behavior, or reflecting on my mental state. I don't know.
Yeah. Mental state.
I need that. Yeah.
At the end of each day, they have a piece of paper that they keep in their binders, and it's called their daily reflections. And at the end of each day, they write down a light bulb moment, which I kind of grabbed that from Oprah, her light bulb moments. So they write down something they learned, that's their light bulb moment. They write down a success for the day, something they're proud of, a moment during the day that they were proud of, and also they write down a challenge, something that was difficult, but they worked through. And we also talk about how a challenge is also a success. It could become a success.
Yeah.
So they have said, my challenge to success, that they came up with all on their own, which I think is very intuitive.
Yes.
You know, I think that was really
I love that.
insightful.
Have you read that book to them? What do you do with a problem?
I did.
I love that. I did a thing on that, and then like a Makerspace thing, because I think that is so. I love that. I love that book. I love how it makes you feel at the end, and that's what that's doing.
Yep.
Is they're thinking about their challenges as an opportunity.
Exactly.
And I think that's unbelievable.
Yes.
So no wonder you don't have any behavior problems. Seriously.
We're constantly reflecting all day long. And so they do that at the end of each day. So then every Friday, they go through their week's worth of reflections, and they highlight their favorite light bulb moment for the week. They highlight their favorite success for the week and their favorite challenge for the week. And then they put it together in a written letter home to somebody. It could be a mom, dad, grandparent, friend, aunt, uncle, cousin. It doesn't matter. They pick somebody at home and they write a letter about their week. So, and then it's someone's job at home, whoever they wrote the letter to respond. And I keep that all year for them.
Man.
And at the end of the year, I kind of bind it together in a special memory book, and then they take it home.
Oh, that's really cool. That's so cool. What do the parents, like, do people actually write back and things?
They do.
They do?
And sometimes life gets busy, and so they don't always get the response, so I let them hang on to it until that person can respond. So there's no hurry.
So
we have
you
all
a little
year.
Time. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
2 months later,
Right.
here's my child's response.
Exactly. And there's a special place in my classroom where they store their Friday letters. They have like their own hanging file folder, and so when it's ready, they put it in there, and I just keep it there all year. And it's a very special keepsake for them to take home at the end of the year.
Absolutely.
So, and they don't always write about what happened inside the classroom. Sometimes a challenge occurred because they had a conflict on the playground or at recess, and they talk about that too, and how they turned that around into a success.
I love that. I'm sure parents love that too. And I'm listening to all these things, and I'm thinking, it hasn't been that long, like 3 years?
Yeah.
Is this the third or fourth year that we haven't taught together?
This is the fourth year.
This is the fourth year, and you're doing all this cool stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I missed all this. I'm like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were doing it, and I was like totally
No,
lost in some other space.
That's one thing that I do to myself every year. I'm always reinventing the wheel because there's very few things that I keep from year to year. I'm always thinking, how can I do this better? What can I do better to reach my students, to help my students, to be better at the craft of teaching? And so I'm always adding new things.
That's what makes you so special. Like, you're very reflective. You've always been that way. That's why I knew it in the moment that I met you. Like, it is like you grab onto things, you take the good and the best parts of stuff, and you figure out, it makes me want to cry, you figure out how to change it and how to make it better, and you never stop. You just are constantly learning and wanting to learn. Aww. And I mean, 14 years later.
Yeah.
And that's still occurring.
Thank you.
I think that's really magical, actually.
Thank you.
So you
were the one who inspired me. So.
Well, no, like, you had it in you all along, and it's really special to watch. And so yes, there's tired moments.
Yes.
You have tired moments
and tired years.
Yeah, and years that are not as successful as other years. But then you learn and you grow from that. You take that challenge and make it
a success.
Yes. I love that. We didn't get to team rapport, so we will hear from Melanie again, because she's just the best, and she has so much to share and so much to offer. So thank you so much, Melanie, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being here. I hope you feel tired in the inspired way. The things Melanie and I discussed are in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts on building rapport or anything else teacher tired related. You can give me a shout out on Instagram at TD Teaching, or visit my website and leave a comment. It's Trina Debery, Teaching and Learning, One Tired Teacher. Thanks again for listening. Hit subscribe if you'd like to hear more. This One Tired Teacher is ready for a snooze. Keep doing what you're doing, take care, and sleep tight.